Okay, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here tonight. Please feel free to continue to introduce yourself, especially if you're new. Please introduce yourself in this space. And it's so good to be with you today. It's such a special day, Halloween, All Hallows Eve, you know, the day before All Saints Day. Um, the Day of the Dead, there's so much happening coming up right now in these next few days. Um, and so much of this is about light and other realms and the ancestors and spirits and everything. And so much of what we observe on Halloween is really about the struggle or the embracing of the spirit realm. All of our complicated relationships that different cultures have with the spirit world and with ancestors, right? And what we do to navigate those complicated relationships as well. So, yeah. So tonight, so this is really important, and I'll keep emphasizing this as people come. I am we'll be doing a fire ceremony right after our practice tonight. And so all the prayers that you offer in the Google Doc, I will just print those out and add those to the ceremony. And I've been doing fire pujas every night. This is the third night. And so the fire ceremonies are really for supporting, the land, spirits, unseen world, unseen realms, and so forth. But anyway, again, so the prayers that we offer, I may not offer the prayers in the session. I may wait for my private practice later tonight. So we'll see, as always. So go ahead and just really, all the prayers, just go ahead and add that to the Google Doc as well. And you'll have time afterwards. You'll have about 30 minutes after we finish to add more stuff to today's Google Doc. And again, I'll print those off. And let me start, before I continue, just by lighting, one of my ceremonial candles. And I tend to do a lot of candle work as we move closer and closer to the solstice, to winter solstice. But for me, as we move deeper and deeper into the season, there's such a concentration on light because we're losing light. The light is becoming shorter and shorter. The days are beginning to be shorter and shorter, and we're feeling the transition, well, in this hemisphere at least, not if you're in Australia or, and so forth, but in this hemisphere, right, feeling that transition into the fall. And of course, if you're in Australia, the transition to summer, but so fall and winter, which energetically are the seasons of hibernation, of slowing down, of rest, right? So right now, our observances in this period are about the harvest. It's about gathering the harvest, celebrating the work that we've done in the spring, well, if we were more agricultural, right? The sowing of spring, the tending to um, of of crops and so forth in the summer, and then moving into the fall, the harvesting of crops from, as a result of all the labor you've put in. So now you've put all the labor in, you've gathered everything that you need, which is just energy. So we're talking about energy. In spring, we're awakening to new energy. Summer, we're investing that energy into creating more like energy, right? And then we gather that energy up and move into the fall, right? And we use that stored energy to move the fall into the winter, right? To support, well, theoretically, right? And in centuries past, to support the rest, the slowing down, the introspection, the winter, right? And then spring rolls around again. But anyhow, but as we move deeper again, into, as we move closer to the solstice, we remember the light. We remember illumination, right? And we remember that the darkness isn't necessarily evil or bad, but it's just a different kind of expression, of the phenomenal world, right? Evil becomes bad or evil, or darkness becomes evil or bad, when when it becomes difficult, right? To sense through that darkness, right? And so anything can happen in the darkness, right? Things hide in the darkness, right? Um, Including parts of ourselves that we habitually run away from, right? So as we move into the darkness, we're moving into a practice of curiosity, really, of learning, how to be curious about what the darkness hides, you know. And as I often practice too, remembering that there's darkness in my experience as well, right? So there's a way in which we begin to hold space for the darkness in the same way that maybe we hold space for the light. Right? And I just imagine that this light begins to fill up the world. All the darkness that we perceive, we ask the light to hold, to care for. Maybe even imagine that this light, this flame, begins to awaken in your heart center. So feeling the awakening, right, of the flame, right, just in your heart center, right here, and how that begins to illuminate first the energetic body, your energy body, how you feel your energetic body, the subtle energy body activating. And maybe for you that's a visualization or something similar, but like maybe it's a feeling of energy moving, but feeling the activation of our energy bodies, the subtle energy bodies, the our body, that expression of us is just energy and light. our life force energy, the chi of the lung. Maybe even feeling, Shakti Kundalini energy awakening at the base of your spine. Right? The consciousness, the energy, the life force of the mother. Right? Prana, right? But imbued with deep love, becoming Shakti. And as Shakti awakens in the body, it's Kundalini Shakti. And then beginning to feel how the activation of the energy body begins to radiate into the physical body. So how do you feel or experience the awakening of the physical body as the subtle energy body radiates into the physical body? And maybe around you, you've been perceiving a lot of darkness, maybe darkness in the form of confusion and hopelessness or fatigue. And as you open into the activation of the energy body and the physical body through this light energy, begin to imagine that you're like a candle or a flashlight beginning to radiate light into the space around you. Are you shining? Are you radiating? Or as Rihanna says, are you shining bright like a diamond? And we're just sitting in the light. We're just radiating light right now. We're not doing anything else. Just sitting in the light. And this is when our bodies become a living fire ceremony, right? Because this light, this energy that's radiating from our energy bodies, we can feed anything into it that needs to be transformed, right? Transmute it, is the magic. Transmutation's the magic of fire work, fire ceremonies, transforming a substance, or actually transmuting, actually meaning that we add something to the fire to unlock a different aspect of that thing, to release a certain energy. Particularly with fire pujas, the tantric fire pujas, Tibetan tantric fire pujas to be more precise, is about releasing energy of substances and directing that energy, to beings that need it, right? And so in this fire puja, even this Palo Santo, as I add it to the fire or light it, this is actually a fire puja, that it begins to radiate an energy that's cleansing and purifying. Right? So in our bodies, right? Our bodies are always undergoing puja, fire ceremony. Our metabolism, the third chakra, the solar plexus, is generating this heat, and as we add things, food, into our stomachs, it goes into our metabolism and is transformed. The energy is unlocked and dispersed through the body. Right. So in this same way, returning some awareness to your subtle energy body, I invite you just to imagine offering the things that you're struggling with into that fire, or rather into that light, which is an expression of fire in the energy body. So the hopelessness, the fatigue, the confusion, the worry and the doubt, the anger, right? The loneliness. You're just offering this into the intense light of the energy body. And the energy body begins to glow even more strongly as it radiates through the physical body, awakening our physical body. So we keep offering over and over again into the energy body. And as you're radiating light into the space around you, what's actually being radiated out through that light? Is it just light, or is it love and compassion? Is it kindness that you're also radiating into the space around you? What is this light, the light of, that you're offering? And what are your songs? What songs are coming to mind? Is there music that you're connecting to? And it's just in the few moments of us practicing this in this section, like, you want to sing that, just in your space, you want to sing the music, the songs that are radiating right from this glowing, this radiation. Just a few more moments, just singing your song, sitting with your music. Maybe there's movement and dance that you can engage in. Wherever this light is dictating, let it have its way. Just a couple more seconds here. And then we'll transition into our opening mantra, the Medicine Buddha. So when you really begin to surrender or take refuge in the light, then your frequency begins to heighten. You begin to vibrate higher, right? And that means that we're lifting out of these lower experiences of suffering and overwhelm and heaviness into these lighter levels of consciousness and relationships to the phenomenal world being empty and fluid and so forth. And that begins to transform your relationship to the phenomenal world, that everything isn't so heavy and fixed and static, that there's tremendous transparency, fluidity, openness, space with everything. That even death becomes this really spacious, fluid experience. So Minla Sange Kino Soha. Medicine Buddha, please know me. Please think of me. Please be present. Please know me. And we're going to start with chanting Om once and then moving into the mantra for a few repetitions. Okay? So inhaling. And we begin the mantra. Om La Sangye Kino Soha. Om La Sangye Kino Soha. Om La Sangye Kino Soha. And then Om one more time. Om. And turning to the light, the subtle energy body, to your body radiating, glowing this light. Thinking that I am the light of the world. Like a city on a hill, I am the light of the world. And just let yourself float within that thought, I am the light. Instead of always thinking that I'm dark and messy, you are the light. There's no other light but you. And from this light radiating from our subtle energy bodies, Medicine Buddha emerges, the spirit, the consciousness of Medicine Buddha emerges in whatever way is appropriate for you and authentic. That maybe in this light we dissolve the sense of who we think we are, and what re-arises is Medicine Buddha, the great Lord of healing, transformation. I am Medicine Buddha. I am Minla Sangye, the great healer. I am the light of the world. Whatever needs to be healed, I offer all of that into the light of Medicine Buddha. And just sitting for the first part of the mantra, just sitting in the light, letting Medicine Buddha emerge, doing nothing else but surrendering to the thought, I am Medicine Buddha. I am the light of the world. There is no darkness that can overwhelm me. Deata begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumo gatis oa. Deata begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumo gatis oa. Deada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumo gadezua. Deada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı sumungantin zoa. Seyada 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 begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı sumungantin zoa. Deata, Omeganze, Veganze, Maveganze, Razumagativa, 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 Deata, Omeganze, Veganze, Mahaveganze, Razumagativa, Deata, Omeganze, Veganze, Mahaveganze, Razumagativa, Deata, Omeganze, Veganze, Mahaveganze, Razumagativa, Deata, Omeganze, Mahaveganze, Razumagativa, Deata, Omeganze, Veganze, 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 Mahaveganze, Razumagativa, Deata, Omeganze, say Mahaveganze, Lazumagadazuba, Teata Umbeganze, Beganze, Ma Beganze, 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 Lazumagadazuba, Ta Umbeganze, Beganze, Ma Beganze, Lazumagadazuba, Teata 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 Umbeganze, bacon, say, that's the make it so. Say, I tell bacon, say, my bacon, say, that's the make it so. Say, I tell bacon, say, my bacon, say, that's the make it so. Say, I tell bacon, say, my bacon, say, that's the make it so. Say, I tell bacon, say, my bacon, say, that's the make it so. Say, I tell bacon, say, my bacon, say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. One big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the make it so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the someone got this so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the someone got this so. Hey, I tell one big and say, my big and say, that's the someone got it so. For the next few moments, imagine that you, as medicine Buddha, just start melting, dissolving into this white light that you've been radiating. And your mind begins to merge with all space itself, and the emptiness of all phenomena. And so slowly begin to re-arise back in our physical forms, using the weight of our bodies and the seat under us to anchor back into this timeline, this moment. Maybe moving through some simple movements to reawaken the body. Taking a few deep breaths. And when you can, making sure you get a lot of water as well, because we've been moving a lot of energy around. So lots of water, lots of movement. And so I want to transition to Shantideva's prayer. And we'll recite that 3 times, and then I'll look at the questions, and that will be what we'll do for tonight, for the session. All right, recite it 3 times. May I be a protector to all those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all realms of varied beings that reach until the ends of space. Okay, let's just go to the questions. First question: how to maintain personal peace? That's a really good question. Um, well, first of all, if this is the case, I'm not saying this is the case, but you have to let go of this idea that the practice is somehow about making things go away, or like making chaos and all this stuff go away. It's really not about making anything go away. The practice is about learning how to hold space, and we hold space by learning to be non-reactive, right? So that we learn how to let things rise and fall, and then we enter into a space of choosing what to engage in, right? So how to maintain personal peace is actually by practicing non-reactivity and choosing what to invest your time, energy, and attention in to, right? Sometimes, often it's about just letting things go, letting things flow by. Like I'm not, like I don't argue with people on social media. I try not to argue with people in general. I'm just not interested in my energy, like being directed towards silliness like that. We have to learn to protect our energy, right? Like everything isn't our work to do, right? And this is, what I'm talking about, in New Saints, it's like we have to figure out what your work is, right? And some of us are not doing the work that we're supposed to be doing. We're doing other people's work, right? And we do other people's work because we just don't want to deal with our work, you know? I'll do your shit because my shit is just like too personal, it's too much, you know? Um, so yeah, maintaining personal peace, and it's moving to non-reactivity, moving to a space of choosing what to respond to, but it's also beginning to develop an insight. This is insight. This is vipassana, right? Tantric of vipassana and insight, which is a little different um, than Theravada insight. But we're developing a felt sense and experience of the emptiness of all phenomena. That's how you really get there. It's like over time, you're like, oh, everything that arises is just this illusion, right? It's just energy, right? That we're labeling, right? That we're shaping because we don't know or understand the true nature of things. And there's lots of stuff to cause us a lot of irritation, right? But that's still not an excuse, right? Because there's a lot of shit happening. That doesn't mean that I can just say, well, it's too much happening, so I'm going to get swept up in it, and get reactive and angry and pissed. Um, we have to learn to hold everything, regardless of what it is, be it joy, be it despair. We hold it equally. You know, take the good, you take the bad, you take them both together and just hold them. And that's the fact of life. I hope that was helpful. Let's see. Next question. I'll just go to this third one from Rachel. Can you suggest anything to maintain some equanimity in the face of upcoming election? I just told you. And the great Buddhist practice, it's actually even more specifically, it's the Lojong training. I forget which slogan it is, but let go of expectations, right? Let go of expectations, right? Whatever happens, happens. All I have is right now. Like you do what you can in the present moment, right? It's just like we were just talking about the seasons, right? Spring and summer, I'm doing the labor to grow a harvest, to sow and grow a harvest. When fall and winter rolls around, that's not the time to be trying to grow some corn, and some wheat, to feed ourselves, right? So like, if you haven't started working now, I mean, granted, I mean, any time to start working is a great time to start, but like, if you haven't done what you could so far up until this moment, I don't know. So it's like, again, the nature, we keep having to have this conversation because I know that many of us are really, we haven't gotten to the view yet. This is what we're talking about, the view of things, the fruition of insight, right, into the nature of things. The anxiety is there because we still take everything super seriously, nor do we trust that we have the resources to survive the future, right? And I'm not necessarily talking about living, like I'm talking about having the resources to stay aware through whatever arises in the future, be it death, be it, a totalitarian takeover of the United States or any country, okay, I guess except for Brazil, but at this point, but the question, I guess the real question is, why don't we trust we have what we need? If we're, well, Rachel, if you're sitting in the lap of the mother, if you're sitting in the lap of Tara, I wouldn't be afraid of what's coming, right? Because I am deeply held by Tara, right? So it's like, how do we deepen our faith in the deities that we're practicing with, that we're worshiping, that we're developing devotion to? You know, I know that I have everything that I need to survive the future, right? And again, I'm not talking about living. I'm not talking about maintaining my life. I'm talking about, no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay, either in life or in death. That's what I'm talking about. If I die, I die, right? And I have what I need to transition into death and dying. You know, like that's the confidence that you need, because you keep holding on. We all do. Like, this isn't just, that we all are holding on to this precious human body, right? And at some point, when do we learn to start letting go and taking refuge in our true natures, right? I am not my body. No matter how wonderful it is, I'm not my body. I'm something much more profound and liberated than my physical body. And for some of us, we have to go through the utter heartbreak of experiencing mortality, or thinking about mortality, imagining mortality, right? To start letting go, or at least be ready to let go when it's time to let go, right? Like for me, I enjoy life. At this point in my life, because of the intense labor that I've put in to this life, I'm having a pretty good time. That's wonderful, But when I feel that death is coming, the transition is upon me, I'm letting the shit go. Right? I am out of here, right? You know, it's like, what do we used to say? What do we used to say? It's been, well, I forget. There's this phrase that we used to say, is really funny. I can't think of it now. But anyway, when it comes time for me to go, I am out of here. I'm not hanging on. You know, um, this world samsara, what I call the carceral state, in my next round of teaching. Like, it will be a nightmare if you believe in it. It's a nightmare if you believe in it. And I can't say I believe in it as much as I used to believe in it. Alas, going up to Rachel's question, I'm sorry, Meta's question. After our fire puja Saturday night, I experienced a flip between spirit and material. Usually the material feels so real and the spirit perspective felt so subtle. I felt very clearly that the body falls back to the earth and that grieving those gone before is backwards. I saw and felt my spirit self so clearly in loving relationship with those already past, and this greatly changed the experience of grieving. Wondering if you could share your perspective on this. Absolutely, this is exactly what I've been sharing. It's like you've got an insight into the real nature of things, which is the connectivity. Like we never lose connection to anyone or to anything. Like we're connected to all consciousness, to all conscious energy, right? So this is how I felt when I started experiencing the same thing you did, and particularly when I started connecting to my ancestors and to the spirit world. It was like, oh, like we're not separate, you know. There are so many people that I've known and loved who've passed on who I can just kind of dial up and just see how they're doing. Like I just, that's when you're connecting to those abilities, it's just like, oh, I'm just connected. Right. You're like, oh, like we grieve. Yeah, we have to grieve the change, but you let go of that grief at some point, and you sit in the love that you have for people. Yeah. Again, like so many people that I love, particularly my family, like I'm not disconnected from them at all. I just feel them very clearly with me, speaking with me, moving with me, right? And this is, of course, this is the time of year when we are really sensing into that, particularly for those of us who are particularly sensitive, right? This veil is very thin, extremely thin, right? This can be fun for some of us, not so fun for the rest of us, right? But you take the good, you take the bad, and you hold them together, and there you go. Facts of life. There you go. Um, so, for those of you who were able to come to the Bumi Sparsha retreat last week, and by the way, what a beautiful, amazing, transformative experience for many of us last week. Really powerful, and of course, one of the things that led us in is Harriet Tubman's practice, which is part of the Spirit Underground teachings that I'm developing with Spring Blossom, and we talked about how the fearlessness of Harriet, you know, Harriet's fearlessness, that belief that she had in her life that she deserved one or two things, liberty or death, and she was going to get one of them, not the other, right? And of course she got both. She got liberty and freedom. Then of course she passed on, as we all will pass on, right? And that's the fierceness that we have to maintain. That's easier for me because I descend, my ancestral line is just a whole bunch of beings who survived and who thrived, who worked and who fought. I can feel that energy, that intensity, that fierceness moving through me. So when I think about the future, I think about the past. I think about what my ancestors survived, right? If my ancestors survived centuries of chattel slavery, you know, if my ancestors survived the Middle Passage, right, which is something that most humans could not endure, right? If my ancestors did that, I can do this, right? Like if my ancestors did that for centuries, I can do this for a couple of years, right? So we think about that. And also, you're not, I kept saying this over and over again in the retreat last week. The seven homecomings practice is a very powerful form of magic that you're underusing. Most people are underusing it, but when you're invested in taking refuge in the homecoming practice, like over time, you're developing that deep connection to all the resources around you. I am not afraid of the world because I am so connected to all these beings, all these deities, to the earth, to the elements, to the sky, you know. So again, whatever happens, happens, right? Whatever happens, I'm going to deal with it, period. If things don't go the way that we want them to go, I'm going to deal with it. People in my community are going to deal with it. We're going to organize and deal with it because that's what my ancestors did. We dealt with it. Like we didn't run away. We didn't collapse. Like we erupted in joy and we embraced our magic and we prayed and fought our way through what seemed like perpetual hell, right? We prayed and sang and we organized, right? And we embraced our magic and we endured, right? We endured. That's what they're saying to me right now. So it's not me saying that. I was like, why? Why do I keep saying that? We endured. Like we survived, we endured. And my and the one kind of visualization or vision or symbol rather that I always get from my ancestors is that it's like all of our hands are linked together. We're holding each other's hands. And so like I feel like in this moment where like my ancestors are sort of, ooh, man, that's powerful. Wow. Shit. Ooh, that's a lot of energy there. They're just surrounding me and we're putting our hands together right now. And the feeling is just this intense power, like I still like this that's the other steel. It's like steel or titanium or whatever the strongest metal is, right? Like strength, fortitude, foundation. Like the motto of my ancestors is that we hold on. Like we're holding on. That's our like team. That's like our team motto. Like we hold on. Like we're holding on. Right. And we do this because this is what we've worked to do together. Like this didn't just happen. Like this took a lot of work from our perspective realities to come together to have this connection in this moment, that like whatever happens, whatever happens, we're holding on to each other. And when your ancestors and you are on the same page, anything can happen. Anything can happen. This is why I'm always telling you to do this work with ancestors, to do this cleansing, to do this reconciliation, to do the grieving, to do the releasing. It is, yes, it is extremely difficult. It's a lot of work, right? And I have really been through it, but this is what it has yielded, this like unshakable foundation, the strength, right? And so I can move in the world. Like, I mean, I'm not even talking about the deities. I'm not talking about Tara. I'm not talking about Kali or Mahakala. Like, I'm just talking about the ancestors now, right? I'm just talking about the ancestors. Like, that's how strong this is, right? And this is why I encourage you to do the 7 homecomings practice, because this is where I want you to be. No doubt, no fear, like just whatever happens, we're going to deal with it, right? We're going to deal with it. We're going to organize. We're going to face it, right? Together in community, we're going to deal with it. So that's right. Thank you. Who said that? Anita, yes, it's been real, it's been fun, but has it been real fun? Right. That's it. It's been real, it's been fun, but I don't know if it's been real fun, right? Exactly. Um, Flore, I find when my practice is consistent, I am clear and have a hard time. Let's see. I find when my practice is consistent, I am clear and have a hard time taking the material world seriously, and details become impossible. Correct. And when I focus on the details, I quickly submerge and it starts consuming me. Plus, I get a lot of help from peers and media. The flip flopping is taking a toll. Suggestions on maintaining balance or those states of handling the transitions of those states. Well, yeah, I mean, you won't be focusing on details. I mean, that's the one of the consequences of um, elevating, you know, frequency, getting into higher conscious states of consciousness is like these details are lost, you know. Um, the more I advance in practice, the more I'm able to do for myself. The less I'm able to do for myself. That's just the reality, you know. All of my teachers had people cooking and cleaning for them, and doing basic stuff. And that's what happens. But it's hard to maintain the balance of form and formless together, right? And something will have to be offered up, and that's really our capacity to hold details. So you have to make a choice, really, like which side of this am I going to stay on? Because the world is not your home. We keep privileging so much of the material world, and we have to let go of a little more of the material world, right? That doesn't mean that like we won't be able to help people as much as we want. It will actually be, you know, the case that we will help even more people the more we kind of privilege the formless as well. Now, also, as we deepen the practice, this does become easier as well, you know. And one of the things that happens is that the more we embody the formless as we move through the form world, the more we begin to understand how the material world begins to shape itself around our vibrational frequency. Um, the Matrix is a wonderful example of that, right? The world begins to shape itself, right? So when you stop believing in the Matrix so much, you begin to develop an agency over how the Matrix shapes itself, right? Because you've not lost your agency to the Matrix, you've reclaimed that agency for yourself, and you can begin to shape things, you know. Um, the Spanish Moors. I told you, Andre. I was telling you that on Saturday. I was like, it's the Moors. I literally said it's the Spanish Moors. You didn't believe me, so it's another story. Another conversation we were having at the retreat. Let's see, questions. Yeah. Um, and you'll notice how things speed up. Like everyone's speeding up. There's people are trying to do more and more and more because people are trying to outrun the trauma, right? They're trying to outrun the grief and the despair and the hopelessness. So we get busier and busier and busier. And we start divesting from that. Then you start looking a certain way. It's like, you know, in this personal experience, obviously, right? But, when you slow down, um, people will begin to be very suspicious about you. It's like, why aren't you hustling as fast as I am? And you're like, well, because I don't feel like it. Like I'm not interested in trying to outrun the suffering. I'm interested in holding the suffering and befriending the suffering. When you do that practice, you will manifest very differently in the world. Like you will be labeled difficult to work with, are unaccessible, um, are detached, apathetic, whatever it may be. And that's just delusion. You know, we're not supposed to be moving this fast. We're not supposed to be doing so much now. That's not what one is supposed to do in the apocalypse, but that's what we're doing. And so, even if no one else is doing it, you do it. You fall back, you rest. As Tracy Hershey, is teaching us the rest. Rest is resistance, right? People, everyone gets busier and busier and busier. It's not that I'm not busy, but like I do work that is about going deeper into the material that I need to be in relationship with, not trying to outpace it. You know, you know. But the world is wonderful. Having said all of that, I think it's fabulous. When you start really developing, when the nature of suffering begins to change, the nature of samsara, the carceral state changes. You know, like, yes, compassion intensifies, right? Like, you're still committed to the suffering of people and getting people free, but you're not suffering in the same way other people are suffering. Compassion isn't an expression of suffering, right? So that's the confusion. To care and to be involved in people's liberation, that doesn't mean that I'm suffering more, right? You have to release that relationship between compassion and suffering, right? Or more precisely, release this idea that, like, I have to suffer more in order to help people. It's not really the case, right? You know, our liberation is really about creating journeys and paths back into the trauma, not away from the trauma. You know, and so with rest, also the other side of rest can be used as avoidance as well. So resting can also be an expression of trauma avoidance. So, you know, there's always a balance to everything, right? You know, resting is wonderful, but also fighting is also wonderful as well. There's a time for everything, right? And some of us actually are too rested, and we have to balance it with the work, you know. The whole resting thing is like, it's not the message for everyone, right? And you have to figure out what your work is. And maybe your work is to slow down or rest, but maybe your work is to actually kind of like move into much more activity right now. So you figure it out, right? Um, so I guess, yeah, that's, I'll go ahead and close up because I would like to um, start getting ready for ceremony now. Yeah, you know, we have to befriend the heartbreak and the suffering. Like, you're afraid of it. It's not what you think it is. Because we tend to run away from everything that we perceive as being suffering. We don't really have a, a deeper awareness of what it is. You know, particularly in the tantric path, everything is trying to teach us. Everything that we perceive as suffering and poisonous is actually waiting to be transformed into medicine. That's the spirit of tantra. everything is waiting to be transformed into medicine, into teaching, into wisdom. Okay, that will be it. So again, go ahead and put your prayers into the Google Doc, and in about 20 minutes, I'll come and collect. I'll, print those off because I'm gonna shift those into the fire. Right. So thank you so much for your practice. On Thursday, we have free radicals. So that's going to be at something o'clock. It's going to be two. Wait, what time is it? I think it's going to be. Well, anyway, free radicals on Thursday. It's going to be 7 o'clock for UK time, and then I am thinking it's going to be 3 o'clock for Eastern Standard Time, and then you figure out your time zone from there. Yeah. All right. So free radicals Thursday. I think that is it for now. So thank you all so much, and I will see you Monday, and then next Monday will be my last teaching for the next 2 Mondays because I'll be in the UK as well. So I'll be here next Monday. All right. That's it. Cool. All right. Thank you, everyone.